Hey, sports fans, welcome to Bucky's Sports Show. I'm Bucky. I'm here with BA this evening. This is episode 1 of this new podcast. We're going to see what happens here and have a little fun talking some sports. So, March Madness officially began, in my opinion. I love the smaller conference tournaments.
Yeah, it brings a lot of teams that doesn't get the TV time or the news time, so brings them to the forefront here in some of the smaller tournaments and kind of gets you an idea of who may be the next Cinderella.
Yeah, and with the NIL, it may also get you who's going to play for your team next year.
Yeah, with NIL, I mean, they're going to pick you apart, so all your mid-majors or your small conferences are going to get disintegrated by the NIL deals, but hey, that's part of the game. So you just got to learn how to rebuild every year. So
part of it now,
part of the game.
Yep. All right, well, talking about these smaller conference tournaments, let's talk Mo-Val. We're both ISU season tickets holders. We watch a lot of Missouri Valley.
Yeah, definitely. Drake's probably the odds-on favorite by no doubt, and Bradley might contend there, but Indiana State got a decent really bracket. I mean, playing Southern Illinois as we were at the game Sunday, just kind of destroyed the Salukis, but you know how that is. I mean, they only played them once this year, so turnaround, couple-day turnaround. I don't expect it to be as lopsided as it was in Terre Haute, but still expect the Sycamores to come out on top.
Yeah. I expect a win, like you said. It'll probably be a lot closer than what it was Sunday, but it's a lot easier for SIU to make those changes and have a better game plan after coming off a loss.
Yeah, ISU pretty much was able to do whatever they wanted to do on the offensive end. A lot of slashing to the basket and got to the free throw line quite a bit. And like I said, just kind of took the Salukis out of their game early and just kind of maintained momentum in the second half and really never let them back into the game. So, like I said, if the Salukis can come out and stay in the game early, of course, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Indiana State and, maybe a good ball game.
Yeah. Unfortunately for us, that's a 1 o'clock start here.
Yeah.
We're going to be at work, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to work. So
have to try and see if we can record that sucker somehow.
But last year we attended the tournament over in St. Louis, and they do a great job with the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. If you ever get a chance to go, it's worth your time, and it's a great time. In
my opinion, it's the best conference tournament.
It's good. It is good.
Location's great.
Yeah, St. Louis does a great job with it. They utilize Ballpark Village and some of the other attractions they have around there, and plenty of hotels. And like I said, it was ran real well. Really pleased with my first trip over there.
Yeah, and I always enjoy kind of walking around Union Station, finding a restaurant to eat at in between sessions, and it's just a really good time, like you said.
Yeah, and of course last year with the success that Indiana State had, it was a good time to be a fan.
Yeah, that's always really fun when your team keeps going.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw a surprise at the Missouri Valley for you. I'm going to go UNI. I'm going Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa's been playing well. They lost in overtime to Drake not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I think they will eventually knock off Drake.
That's a pretty bold statement.
That's what I'm going with. Book it if you want to.
Book it? Well, I'm going to go ahead and book Drake going to the NCAA tournament there.
So you're going to go chalk on me.
Going with the favorite.
All right, fair enough.
I just think all year they've been the cream of the crop in the Missouri Valley. And
there's no doubt about that.
And with their success, they've...
And kudos to their coach coming in.
Oh yeah, I mean he took a program again, lost their coach,
They
lost
lost
their best players.
They lost almost everything, and
Yeah,
they came back without missing a beat.
yeah. Like I said, I've been impressed with them all year. So they're my favorite to come out of the Mo Valley.
Yeah. I'm going with a dark horse in the Missouri Valley.
All right.
I'm going UNI.
All right. No love for Evansville. No love for U of E.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Just check.
Sorry, Matt.
Sorry. Just check.
IU. Let's go a little different in state here.
Was really doubtful this year.
Yeah.
Even up to 3 or 4 weeks ago. But been playing really well. With the wins over Michigan State and wins over Purdue.
Yeah.
Played well. Just really wasn't a game against Washington. At Washington, I know Washington's down a little bit, but sometimes they used to let bad teams hang with them.
Well.
And
road games are always hard to win in the Big Ten.
Yeah, especially going out on the West Coast. So that was a really good win. Got a tough matchup tomorrow night against Oregon.
Yep.
Oregon, I'm sure, will be the favorite. But I really like the way IU's playing right now. And it's because they've turned it up a little bit on the defensive end. And, shuffled some things around a little bit. And it's kind of put a little spark underneath them. Sometimes I'm wondering what they're doing as far as personnel at certain times. But, I've kind of questioned that in the whole Woodson era. So,
their 4-guard, 1 big lineup, that has really worked out for him the last few weeks.
It has, and when Renew's been healthy, he's played really well. He can be the difference maker. And Baco, same way. He's played well at times, and then there's a couple games he was just non-existent. So, it's Lil coming in, and Lil was really. His whole career, I think, was pretty much unappreciated on the defensive end. And he's really stepped his defensive game up to where they always said he couldn't play at that level defensively. Well, I don't know. He's proved it to me that he can.
Yeah. And
he's kind of been our difference. Even if he's not, stuff in the stat sheet, he is still, in my opinion, the guy that makes them go. I mean, he's kind of their heart and soul and what Indiana basketball used to be. Play hard, play tough, gritty, gutty, and just the will to win.
Yeah.
And it's something we really hadn't had around there for a while. So, him playing more has really helped them out. And like I said, and Goody's started to knock down shots. And like I said, when the last few games, he's been the best shooter on the floor.
Yep.
So on any team. So I like where they're at right now. I really do. And if you'd asked me 5 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I'd said you're crazy. But I really like where they're at right now.
Well, it's funny you should say that because about 5 weeks ago when I started this whole idea of doing this podcast, I was thinking we'd be talking about Mike Woodson, who's going to replace him. But let's get that conversation for after the season.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have took a little bit of the pressure off of him, too. Once he decided that he's not going to return, they seem to have been playing a little bit better. So I don't know. Maybe there was just a lot of tension in there. And, coaching Indiana is not an easy job. It's not an easy coaching position.
No.
So
it is definitely not for the faint of heart.
No. As a fan, you're still wanting the Bob Knight era, and it's just not here right now.
Bob Knight era is over. It's
over.
Long over.
And we've had some trouble adapting to that. So, but, I like I said, I think this team is going to make the tournament. Not too sure how far they'll make it in, but, with the way they were going, just to get in the tournament is pretty impressive for this last few weeks of the season.
Yes. Yeah. So, seeding-wise, where you where you got them?
I've got them coming in about a 10 or 11.
10, 11?
Yeah, and that, and that's if they finish strong. That's if they at least go 1-2 in the next 2 games. I think they'll beat Ohio State at home on senior night. Like I said, the Oregon game will be a tough one. If they could pick up 2 wins, I would say they're going to be a 10 seed. They go 1-2 and win 1 or 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. I think they'll be a 10 seed.
I think the Big Ten tournament's going to be their seeding key.
Yeah, it will be.
I think if they win one of their next 2, they're in.
Yep.
If they lose the first one in the Big Ten, they'll probably have to go to Dayton maybe be one of the last 4 in.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they do that, there's going to be a large IU contingency there.
Yeah, I mean IU travels well.
Yeah.
So
they'll be in somewhere. I think in the 64 round.
Yeah, I really think it may depend also on the other bubble teams, like the North Carolinas.
Yes.
What are they going to do? Some of the other teams that just right there.
Can't have those bid stealers like
yes.
Indiana State had happen to them last year.
Yeah. You really want some of those teams that are in the smaller conferences that are there. It's got 23, 24 wins. You want them to win their conference tournament.
Yep.
You don't want to give them a chance to take one of your spots. So that's going to be crucial. North Carolina is one of those teams, too, that, the NCAA loves them. So they have any chance of getting them in.
They travel well, too. So
they travel well, too.
They love that money.
If they have any chance of getting them in, they're going to.
Yeah.
So, their season depends on the last couple games plus their ACC tournament.
Yeah.
They've been playing decent here of late, so it's hard to say. Georgia's another team that made their run with a couple wins last week, and now they're on the bubble team. Now they're another bubble team.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple publications where they're last team in right now.
Yeah.
So depending what they do, we'll maybe determine where IU seeds at. So, but I think we're in. I think they're in.
I do too. And it surprises me because.
Here's a question for you.
All right.
Where you have Purdue at?
Man, they are falling big time.
They are, but again,
they're a solid team.
Their resume's
resume's
pretty good.
Their resume's good, but they're not playing well of late.
No.
I think if they can go on a run, they're a 3 or 4 seed.
Big Ten tournament's going to be really crucial for them for seeding too. Yeah. I can see them going from anywhere from a 3 seed to a 6 seed.
Yeah.
And that's just depending on where they fall and how these last couple games go. I think that they're definitely in. There's no doubt they're in, but where they're at and where they're seated at is going to make a big difference on what kind of run they make.
One thing they'll probably want to avoid is that 5 seed that plays one of the teams from Dayton.
Yeah.
You don't want to play someone that just won, feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, Purdue's like, they're streaky though. If they get on a run, they can beat anybody in the country, and they've proved that during their resume here for this year. But again, one of those teams that you just have to hang around with, and if they let teams hang around with them, then it sometimes doesn't turn out to their advantage. So, another team is around here. A lot of us are big Dusty May fans, so Michigan's starting to. He's done a great job there. I mean, a team that was awful last year. We'll just say they're flat out awful.
Yes.
And to have them in the running for a Big Ten regular season championship is kind of remarkable because he basically came in. It brought the whole team with him. I mean, and had to rebuild and does a great job with the transfer portal. Does a great job of developing players throughout the year. And like I said, he's got them a contender.
Yes.
I mean, he's got the team with 2 7-footers that if they could be a tough matchup.
A very tough matchup for anyone.
For anybody. Now, I know they got ran out of the gym a little bit yesterday by Illinois, but when at one point in time, Illinois had 18 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat anybody giving up 18 offensive rebounds.
No.
They just laid an egg yesterday on
Yeah.
senior night. I mean,
It happens.
It happens, but like I said, again, they're a team that you get in a tournament, they could go a long ways.
Yeah.
Especially with May and his experience in the tournament of coaching teams. Wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
If the draw
yeah.
is to their favor, the brackets to their favor. Michigan State, another team, a typical Izzo team. They get better as the year goes on. In my opinion, the best coach in college basketball, if not the best, the top 5.
Yeah.
Izzo does it year in, year out.
Yeah.
Like him or not, he's a winner, and he does it the right way. So, another Sweet 16 team, I believe, out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, the one thing that I see being a stumble for Michigan State would be their shooting.
Yeah.
I thought Woodson, when they won up at Michigan State, did a nice job making that in-game adjustment of going to a zone.
Yeah.
And they could not throw it in the ocean that night.
Any teams that's going to scout them will go back and scout that game. We'll see how effective that zone was.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of zone in college basketball, but you're starting to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, if I'm playing Michigan State and it's a tight game, I might throw that zone at them. I'm not going to lie. I mean, but it's something that until the bracket comes out, you can kind of look at the teams. Okay, it's not like you're playing the old Syracuse teams of old where, you're going to see that zone. And their zone would have killed Michigan State. It would have killed them. But it depends on their draw again, how far they can go. Another team that I've been really, really impressed with, and I hate to say this, is Duke. I mean, Duke is just...
They just, every year...
Well, they're just killing teams.
Yeah.
They're coming in. They're coming in and killing teams. Yeah. I mean, if it's a 25-point game, they look like that as a close game. I mean, it's besides their little flop there at Clemson, and and they were without Gillis.
Yeah.
So, and he's been a crucial part for their team this year. He's gave them a lot of good minutes. Gave him an outside threat. Like I said, but Cooper Flagg is by far, in my opinion, the best player in college basketball.
He's a stud.
I mean, he's. I can't. I mean, there's a lot of people saying, well, they're not sure if he'll win Player of the Year or if it'll be the guy from Auburn. But in my opinion, there's nobody better.
You take him off Duke, Duke's not as good.
No, he leads them in every category.
Yeah.
And you just don't see. And we're talking a team that's got 4 or 5, or don't quote me on this, how many McDonald's All-Americans, and he's leading the team in every category.
You're right.
That tells you how dominant he is.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing with like Cooper Flagg and 4 other scrubs.
Right.
I mean, these guys are the best players in America. I mean, there really could have 3 players drafted in the top 10.
Yeah.
And that's, for him to dominate every statistical category is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. You mentioned Auburn there.
Yeah.
They are by far, I think, the best team in the country this year.
See, I'm still leaning towards Duke, but I will say this: they're a team to be reckoned with. I mean, I'm not saying that. And
1 through 7.
I'm a Bruce Pearl fan.
Auburn's.
I'm a Bruce Pearl fan. People can hate him all they want. The guy wins at every level.
He does.
He wins at every level, and they can say what they want, but players like to play for Bruce Pearl.
Yep.
And I like the way his teams play.
Yeah.
You never see them giving up. You never see the lack of effort. And if there is lack of effort, he's going to be on you. And I love the way he coaches.
Yeah.
I love the way his teams play. I just really feel that Duke is still a little bit better than that. And I'm not a Duke fan by no means, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I've watched both of them play quite a bit this year, and I've been impressed with both of them. Yeah. I'm not saying I haven't been, but I'd love to see both of them in the Final Four.
Yeah,
I definitely would. I'd like to see them square off, and I've watched Alabama and Tennessee both play this year.
Alabama's solid too.
They're solid too. And Tennessee, when they're streaky, I mean, if they're shooting the ball well, they can beat anybody in the country too. So those two teams, definitely SEC is. It's been kind of funny this year because in my opinion, they've kind of flipped the tables. Big Ten had a big football year.
Yeah.
And now the SEC is dominating college basketball.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is, but it's kind of funny that you see that. But like I said, all those teams that we've mentioned in the SEC are tough outs.
And there's Florida.
Florida, yeah.
I mean, there's just so many in that conference.
Yeah, Florida's played really well. Even Vanderbilt can beat anybody on a given night. I mean, they've played exceptionally well. I don't know how many games they've lost in the last 2 minutes of the game, but they have been a very competitive team.
Well, I think they're a 19-21 team right now.
Yeah,
and I haven't looked at their record, but
I'm not for sure where they're at on the bubble wise, but if they can get in a tournament, they can win 2 games.
Yeah.
They're just that type of team. They play really well at home.
They do
really well at home, and like I said, there's no easy outs in the SEC.
No.
Kentucky, another one of the teams. Now I think Kentucky is. I think Pope's done a great job of coming in and taking over.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have the firepower with the Auburns, the Alabamas.
No,
of course they're going to make the tournament, but I could see them being a early out.
Yeah.
They're streaky.
They're down.
They're down. They're streaky.
They're down and they're streaky.
UConn's another team that even Hurley says they're not as good as they have been.
Yeah.
Now, they've been great, so there's kind of a difference there.
They have.
But, not the same team that he's used to having, but still, they're going to be in the tournament. And with the talent that they do have, it's not like they're playing with a JV bunch out there. They're definitely a top quality team.
Yeah.
And Hurley's, besides being nuts, I mean, he knows how to win.
He does. He
knows how to win. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a team that can. I don't think they have the firepower to go a long ways.
No.
But you never know. Like I said,
it's all about that draw.
Been really impressed with St. John's. Really impressed, and not shooting wise. And Patino will tell you it's not his team, it's his shooting team. The way they play defense, in my opinion, out of the big conferences, maybe the best defensive team in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, they just lock people down. They guard you. They turn you over. Was really impressed with watching them. Watched them last, 3 or 4 weeks, probably 5 or 6 times, and just really, really impressed with the way their effort and their on the defensive end of the floor. Said not great shooters, but they'll lock you down and they'll get some rebounds and they'll put it up and like I said, they're another team that can go a long way, just based on their defense. I mean, they really can lock somebody down.
I think this tournament this year is going to be one of the best.
Yeah,
because you got so many teams that can make a run.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll be interesting to watch.
I agree. Now, like I said, they are always wanting to change the NCAA tournament.
Glad you mentioned that.
And I'm telling you right now, I always tell you this. Why do you want to mess up the best tournament there is in all of sports?
Well, you can make it better.
We'll see.
Okay, so my brother Zach and I came up with this idea. So we'll drop it on you now. See how you like it. All right, so you expand it to 120 teams. That gives your 1 and 2 seeds overall a bye into the round of 64. Every conference gets their regular season and tournament champion an automatic bid.
Okay.
Every conference and tournament champion host a game. It is a school-hosted on-site game.
Turn this into the NIT.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And then the other games that do not involve, because if your regular season champion is the same as your tourney, that's just another at-large for you. So then if you don't have a conference or tourney champion involved, best seed host. And then you go in to your regional play just like you normally would. Now the other thing is, if the logistics isn't there for the host, I personally like the host because it gives a team like Bucknell an opportunity to possibly bring in someone big that would never agree to play there.
Okay.
It rewards the fan base, because a team like Bucknell is not going to go to the tournament and win a game. They're going to be a 15, 16 seed, and the odds of them winning I know it's happened before, but realistically, they don't really have a chance to win. So that rewards them playing a bigger team at their place in front of their fans and rewards that season.
Okay, I can see that. I can get on board with that.
But if the logistics aren't there, you just play it on Tuesday, Wednesday at the site where they would feed into.
So you're talking 120 teams.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm still old school. I still go back with the original 64.
I get it.
But it's not a bad concept. Not a bad concept. I mean, it gets everybody involved. It's not a bad concept, really. 120 teams. So how many more rounds would that make it? 2 more?
One
more.
So
Yeah, that'd get you down there.
instead of the opening or the first 4,
Okay.
you expand it out, and those teams would just play on Tuesday or Wednesday, like the first 4.
Okay. I can go with that. All right.
So you're not extending the weekends. You're still having your conference tournaments, which are fun. You're just kind of, in my opinion, you're rewarding a fan base. Because, like I was talking with Zach. It's like, was I disappointed Indiana State didn't get in last year? Absolutely. But the NIT, them hosting every game and seeing Minnesota and Cincinnati and SMU come into Holman Center was fun.
Yeah,
it was a great month of March watching Indiana State play at home. And it's like I said, okay, if they would have got in, they would have went out to Spokane, Washington or something.
Yeah.
Where the fan base can't go. And it's just like, okay, like, yeah, we made it in, and then we got beat by Duke, and then we go home.
Yeah.
So I just that smaller school has a great year for them. I just think it rewards them.
No, I agree. It's not a bad concept. Not a bad concept. And like I said, it's no additional rounds, because you just take the 4 in. I mean, they're now expanded out. So,
yep.
Yeah, not bad. I could go with that.
Okay.
Could go with that.
That's what we're pushing. To the NCAA.
All right. Well, I'm sure they'll listen to us.
Oh, yeah, they listen to everybody.
I'm sure they will.
They probably won't like my small school hosting idea, because that's not as much money for them.
That's not their round. They want something big time.
They may like the on-site at wherever that round of 64 is, but
yeah, they might like that.
They won't like the Bucknell hosting.
No,
not enough money for them. All right, well, so golf. Let's talk a little golf.
All right. I mean,
Bay Hill's always a big tourney.
it is. I haven't really studied up much here lately on golf, other than I had a few, DraftKings bets this weekend that paid off for me. So
there you go.
Again, we're always looking for sponsors out there, DraftKings. If anybody's interested,
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I am a loyal customer. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes, you are.
I'm very loyal. So, Scotty Scheffler's got to be the favorite. I mean, every tournament he plays in, he's pretty much the favorite. So, there's no doubt in my mind I'll put some money on him this weekend. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But what's your take?
This was going to be my question to you. When do you actually start following?
I don't start following golf usually till after the NCAA tournament.
But see, I'm right around the Players' Championship.
Okay.
So I really haven't started following it. I love watching Pebble Beach.
I mean,
just because it's the iconic course.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of consider that like everything else kind of spring training, if you will. But the Players' Championship, that's kind of when I tune in. That's kind of that fifth major that
it's true.
Everyone talks about. So
it's true. I usually start watching that when NCAA tournament after it's over.
Yeah.
Baseball season.
Masters comes on.
Masters usually is my first one that I really get into.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a fantasy golf league, a one and done. So of course I follow that.
Right.
We start that in December or whenever it is. So, but I really don't get down and start really watching it and following it till after basketball season usually.
Yeah.
So, but anytime Scheffler's playing, he's going to be the favorite in the field. So
yeah,
there's no doubt he's phenomenal.
JT, that's
JT's always a strong one to have.
I know that's close to his home. He normally plays well there.
Yeah. There's a lot of younger guys now too. That's gives them a run. So I don't know. I still think it'll be a runaway for Scheffler.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that, but if I had to take someone different, I'd probably go Justin Thomas. And just because I kind of feel like, I know it's not his home course, but it's close to his home. And
I could see that. I could see that helping him out some. Trying to think of some others that that could have an opportunity to sneak in there. Schaffy, Xander, he can, another one that can, on any given day, can score low, come in and score low. So, it's interesting though. Like I said, good tournament.
It is.
It's kind of a good tournament. You see the big names there, so it's starting to become golf season.
There's always kind of Army's tournament there.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, you always got to see Army there. But been watching the TGL?
Not much.
Okay.
Just occasionally I'll watch them a few times, but I don't know. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a great entertainment value. I mean, but if college basketball's on right now, I'm kind of in deep.
I get that.
In deep in it, so usually I'm watching a college basketball game when it's on.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
That's just where we're at right now in sports.
I kind of tuned in President's Day. It was on all day long.
Yeah.
So we had some snow going on and ice and cold and
exactly.
It's a day off, so I tuned in to see what it was kind of all about. And
I would rather watch, like I said, good entertainment value. I'd rather watch that than them people playing volleyball with their head and stuff on a ping pong table. I mean, I don't even know what that's called, but I was flipping through the channels the other day, and there it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is stupid. So, I'm moving on. I mean, I'm not gonna watch it. So yeah,
Yeah,
give me some golf simulator. I mean,
yeah,
I'll
I
watch it.
understand. I understand. NBA playoffs.
Well,
Do you follow the NBA? Let's start there.
I'm not a big NBA fan, but I do gamble on it a little bit. So
Okay, so
I follow a little bit there. But Boston, in my opinion, solid come out of the East. I mean, you'd be a betting fool if you didn't take him to come out of the East. The West, though, and I hate to say this, but the Lakers are playing really well. That's been a great trade
that
for
was
them.
a good trade.
They can say what they want to. That was a great trade.
That was a good trade.
Everybody's like, well, can they play defense? The Lakers have played defense
when they need to.
And since the trade, they have improved defensively.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because somebody's calling them out and all these so-called experts out there, and they're just trying to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Not a huge LeBron James fan.
No.
But definitely respect his game.
Yeah.
And if LeBron James wants to lock down on somebody, he's still 40 years old, he can lock anybody down.
Yeah.
And he has. And he's really kind of taken this role as, hey, listen, and he's been coming out and just scoring in bunches. And I think it's kind of gave him a new outlook on this team when they got Luka. I mean, they got a guy now that, who is a top 5 player in this league. And to throw him in with James, who in my opinion is still a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah.
Definitely has made them a contender.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Nuggets are still going to be a contender. I mean, they're there. But I just really think that the Lakers have solidified themselves as a team that can come out of the West. And if you'd have said that before the trade, I'd have said no way. So definitely helped themselves. Living around here, Pacer fans, we're Pacer fans. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I like what they do. I like what they do. They're a small market team.
Yeah.
This is what we are. Are we going to be a contender in the East? I just don't feel like we are. Are we a playoff team in the East? Most definitely.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, right now Pacers setting number 5 seed.
Yeah.
They're securely out of that play-in stuff that they have going on.
Yeah, they're like I said, a good year, solid year. Just doesn't have the firepower to go with the Bostons, the Clevelands, and the Knicks.
Yeah.
For a series.
Right.
To beat them on any given night.
Yeah, but to
throw a series at them just doesn't have that firepower. No. Cleveland's another team that can hang with Boston. The Knicks have shown they can't beat the 2 big ones.
Yeah.
And I think that they might be the 3rd best team in the conference.
Yeah.
And it's another deal where if the Pacers would get hot and would meet the Knicks, I think would have an opportunity. They match up well with the Knicks. Yeah. And I really think that they could, possibly. I think it'd be a good series.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think with the other two, with Cleveland and Boston, they have the firepower to
right now, Cleveland's setting at 50-10.
Yeah,
they've already got 50 wins.
Yeah,
we're still a month away before the season's over, and they're 7.5 up on Boston for the top seed.
Yeah. And like I said, if you get them in Boston though head to head in a 7-game series, it would. They're both. I mean, they match up well.
You gotta take the luck of the leprechaun.
Yeah. And Boston. If they have everybody healthy, they're a tough out.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, with the way they've built their team, they're built for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wouldn't be shocked to see Boston come out and either the Lakers or the Nuggets come out. Everybody's talking Oklahoma City too. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I honestly think the Nuggets and the Lakers have the best opportunity to come out of the West. Now, since the Lakers made their trade, I really think that they could be. Now, they're also an injury away from one of their starters to being a first round loss.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're one of those teams that has to have everything clicking.
Yeah.
But if they do, they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah. Do you watch the NFL Combine?
Bits and pieces.
Because I really don't follow that.
And the Combine is great for players that are those players that nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
The average Joe hasn't heard of. The quarterback from Ohio State.
I was watching the Pat McAfee show.
Made big strides. Big strides.
And I heard that PM the night before his showing, he was out throwing a football to his catcher on the other side of a parking garage.
Yeah.
He was throwing it over the parking garage and just throwing bombs.
They say, like I said, one of the strongest quarterbacks in the draft as far as physicality. Great arm strength. I don't think they put enough emphasis on winning. And anytime you're a national champion and are in a winning program is, in my opinion, important.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see a little bit more of that right now. They fall in love with, okay, this guy's 6'6", this guy can bench press this guy can do it. But they need to fall in love with what's inside.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes players.
Yeah.
And you see it in some drafts that we've had in the past. You know, they take these guys that statistically look great playing against lower level FBS teams and guys that has the physical stature but plays with programs that's, been average. And I just think there's guys out there like Daniels that's played in a great program, played in the SEC, played everywhere, but has always been kind of the guy that has a little fire in him.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why he had such a great rookie year.
Yeah.
You have, some other guys that came up through the past, like the guy from Washington State, Leaf.
Leaf, yeah.
Ryan Leaf. Met all the check marks on that, but just didn't have it. I mean, let's face it, he was rotten.
Yeah.
And there's been other quarterbacks like that too that, they're out of the league. So
yeah. And then what's Tom Brady, 6th round?
So let me there's a defensive lineman that I saw ran a great 40. You know, you always love the big guys that can run.
Oh yeah.
They always got the fat guy touchdown, So
oh, yeah.
they love that. And like I said, there's always some good story that comes out of the combine. I'm a Raiders fan. Yes, unfortunately I'm a Raiders fan, but what are we gonna do in the draft? Who knows? I mean, I've seen us do some of the stupidest things in the world, so I can't really hang my hat on that. Now, since we've got Tom Brady involved, maybe we're going to have a little bit of success here in the draft. I mean, he's going to take this thing serious, and what I've been reading is he's going to be very involved with our draft this year.
That'll help.
And our free agents over the offseason. So I think you're going to see something different, that we're actually going to have a game plan rather than just take whoever we feel may be the best guy on the table. Now, the Brock Bowers pickup last year in the draft, in my opinion, was the best draft pick we've made in years.
Yeah.
And was we looking for a tight end? No. We took one the year before with Meyer out of Notre Dame. So we had a decent young tight end, but you just don't let a talent like Bowers fall from him. He fell in our lap. And it was a great pick.
Yeah.
And it proved he was, as good of offensive player in the league last year as a rookie.
Yeah.
And a great upside. And again, another kid that came from a winning program, came from Georgia. I mean, he's won national championships. He's He's a stud.
Yeah.
So we're in the right direction. Now, for God's sakes, give us a quarterback that can throw to you. Because right now it is awful.
Yeah.
And I don't dislike OC at all, but he'd be a great backup.
Mm-hmm.
He don't need to be the everyday starter.
Yeah.
We need a starter. And where are we going to get that at? Are we going to get it in the draft? I don't know. I don't think we will. I don't think if Sanders falls to us, I don't know if we take him, or do we fill that with a Darnold out there?
Yeah.
Or do we look at a Cousins?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I'd rather take a shot on Darnold than I would Cousins, just because of the age factor. But hell no, don't give me Aaron Rodgers. Do not give me Aaron Rodgers.
No Rodgers, huh?
No, that would do us no bit of good. I mean, he's planning on bringing Adams wherever he goes, and Adams already been a Raider, and that didn't work out. So we already sent him packing.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me a quarterback that can throw to Bowers. Go out and get us another wide receiver in the free agent market. If you're not going to draft a quarterback, if one you feel it could help you, take a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Because our running game was atrocious this year. But why would you get rid of the guy that led the league in rushing the year before, and Jacobs, and
yeah,
and then complain because you had the worst rushing offense in the league?
Yeah.
Our front office is awful at times. So having Tom Brady there, I hope, will bring a little bit of football intelligence to our franchise, and we'll see.
Yeah.
Colts.
Tell you what.
I mean, well, there's another team.
I'm the Colt fan in the room, so Anthony Richardson, he's just not the quarterback. He's just not. I really would like to see him at a running back position, because I think he is fast. I think he is athletic. And I think with him and Jonathan Taylor, your running back spots, you could do a lot of damage with a quarterback that has accuracy.
Here's my thoughts on Richardson. You've already vested him, and he's going to be your starter.
Yeah.
You throw him out there this year, starter from day one, and I'm riding him out no matter what.
No, I don't like it.
I'm going to change my offense a little bit to adapt to him. We're going to run a little bit more. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. This is part of the game.
No, he's going to get hurt.
So you just run your game, offensive scheme around him. Okay? You go out and draft either an offensive lineman. You draft a tight end. They really need a tight end.
Yeah.
They are weak at the tight end slot.
Yeah.
You give a guy a tight end, the guy from Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
You take him, and you say, all right, Richardson, this is your team this year. You don't produce, you flop, then you bite the bullet, and you finish last, and you draft Manning next year.
Yeah.
That's your game plan. And if you produce, you make the playoffs, maybe Richardson is your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a full season of, hey, this is your team. You either drive it in the ground, or you drive us to the playoffs. And go from there. I think you take a tight end.
Yeah, I don't see Richardson as the answer at the quarterback. One, he gets hurt every year. He's never played a full season, college or NFL.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him in college.
And I mean, when he's at Florida, he never did one time beat Vanderbilt.
Sure.
So I just don't see him being the answer. But like I said, running back with his athleticism, it could work out for him.
The running game's decent though. Even
but you could do so much
do you throw him out as a wideout?
You could.
Do you throw him out as And here's what I say. I say utilize him as, as a wildcat package.
Yeah, you could do that.
You could utilize him in certain spots, but I don't think the Indianapolis could get a quarterback there that will, at this present time,
Yeah.
would maybe even be better than
not where their draft spot is.
Yeah, where the draft spot is, and honestly, free agent wise, I'm not sure they're willing to bring in somebody, and they're not going to be a big draw as far as bringing somebody in. With that said, there's other spots that they need to work on too, and the young. I still think they're and everybody's in love with the Pittman, but I'm not sure he's an actual number one receiver.
No.
And I say that, and I'm going to have some haters out there, but I think he's a average number two receiver, but not a dominant number one receiver.
No.
And they've really missed that. And their tight ends, like I said, they need a tight end.
Yeah.
Every good franchise right now that is playoff worthy every year has a great tight end.
Yeah.
You look at all of them, Kelsey, Andrews, teams that have success have good tight ends.
Yeah.
And it's an important position now. You're seeing a lot more.
It is.
A lot more. It's not the old tight ends of old days.
No.
It's you've got to have a tight end that can get those first downs, can go across the middle, make those tough catches, and someone that can just beat somebody off the line.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's the Colts are in dire need of a tight end.
Yeah. Yeah. But going back to the combine, Indy puts on a fantastic.
Oh, great place. Great place.
I mean, everything is just top notch in Indy.
Everything they do there, as far as hosting any event, whether it's Comic-Con or the Super Bowl, the Big Ten tournament, women and men, they do a fabulous job with it.
Everything is just so compacted downtown. It's all right there together. Everything's in walking distance.
Yeah. Kudos to the travel and tourism industry in Indianapolis. Do a great job.
Yeah.
I mentioned something just briefly there about women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Been watching a little bit of it this year.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, the women's game is far superior in fundamental basketball.
Yep.
Better shooters.
Yep.
Like I said, I watched the game the other day. I think it was 20 for 20 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
There's no men's team that can shoot 20 for 20 from the free throw.
That was Notre Dame at NC State.
Yeah, NC State. And women that can just come down and bury the three.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as fundamental shooters, they are so more advanced now than the men's game.
Yep.
And I know men are more athletic. They can say what they want, and it's a fun game to watch.
It is. That mid-range jump shot that disappeared from the men's game.
It is.
They knock that down.
Fun game
90% of the time.
And there's becoming more parity now in women's college sports.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot more like, it's not just UConn and Tennessee anymore like it always used to be years and years ago. South Carolina's got a great program.
Yep.
Last several years.
Yep.
Just the whole Big Ten. The whole Big Ten conference is solid. The whole SEC is solid.
Yeah, I think I saw USC UCLA was 1-2 at one point.
Yeah.
So they played each other.
You've added UCLA, you've added the old Pac-10 teams into it.
Yeah.
Which have always been a strong women's sports programs out there.
Well, I mean, the Pac-10 was always the conference of champions.
Well, according to Bill, but God rest his soul. But it was you bring them in and you strengthen your women's sports real quick.
Yeah.
And like I said, we haven't seen it yet, but same way UCLA's been dominant in softball and volleyball and so forth for over several years. Now you bring them in, you catch a lot of slack about the Big Ten. That's now the Big 18.
Yeah.
But they go coast to coast now.
They do.
I mean, it's all about the money,
Yep.
and you're looking at the revenue money coming in. But with that said, like I said, it's been a good addition.
It has,
especially on the women's side of the program.
It has.
Like I said, and the football.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's adding those teams in football. I mean, USC, UCLA, or every year they're going to be able to produce a decent program. So
yeah.
Washington's had great programs in the past. They're just 1 year out from playing in the national championship.
Yeah.
So it was good. People some of the traditional, and I'm a traditional guy. So at first I wasn't a big fan of it. Wasn't a big fan of it, but
we'll see it on this late IU Oregon game tomorrow.
Yeah. Our next podcast, we won't do it tonight, but our next broadcast, I want you to come in with your Big Ten. What would you have as your Big Ten?
Okay.
And we'll base it on 14 teams.
14 teams? Okay.
14 teams if you had your dream Big Ten.
Okay. Well, let's go back to this women's game here real quick.
Okay.
They do have the Big Ten tournament coming up this week.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I haven't followed it as close as I have the men's side.
I haven't either. But do UCLA, USC struggle with the time zone change?
I don't think so, because I'm sure they'll have them there days in advance.
Yeah.
Where it's not just going to be, hey, we're going to travel out there and play tomorrow. If I was running their programs, they'd be there 3 or 4 days early,
if not already.
Yeah, to get adjusted.
Yeah.
And you're allowed. I'm sure they're allowed practice at events like that.
Yeah.
In the facilities. Plus, I would go find a regular high school to practice that.
There's so many high schools and colleges around that they could find a gym to practice.
Exactly. And I would go ahead and get them there now.
Yeah.
And go ahead and get them acclimated to the environment. But I think you're this far in that the jet lag is going to be over for them. I mean, you get them there early enough to adapt. I don't think the time change will be a huge factor. Now, if you played that earlier in the year, I would say different.
Yeah.
But I really don't think at this point in time it'll matter.
Do you think it would have made a difference if the said tournament was in LA, with teams going out west and playing a midnight 1 o'clock game?
Not really. I think it'd probably be
it's the same thing.
I think it would probably be a little bit to their advantage compared to the West Coast coming to the East Coast on early games.
Yeah.
So instead of playing at noon, or you're playing at noon on the Eastern time, you're at what, 7 o'clock and then 9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock out west.
Yeah. So
I think that is a bigger issue than a team playing at midnight instead of 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the other way around. But like I said, I don't think it'll matter anyhow this time of year.
When I went out west the last couple of times, it was just that 4 a.m. My body is just ready to wake up.
Yeah.
And I was out there a week and I just never could get adjusted. But it helped me coming back home.
Right. But let's face it, you're not a well-trained athlete either.
I'm not.
That might be a lot different.
You're correct. So, I am not a well-trained athlete.
So, I mean, you're not a well-trained athlete. So it may be a little bit different on your body than it is a well-trained athlete.
Yeah. I'm just a fat guy that likes to talk about it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Let's talk a little bit on our smaller conference tournaments here. Let's see where we go. Sun Belt Conference. This is. Have you seen the bracket on how this looks?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me show this to you. Then we can. Oh, this has got to stay plugged in. Do you see how it stair steps?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, see, I like it.
I'm not a fan.
I think it gives the 1 and 2 seed a huge advantage, which rewards them for having a good year. I don't know if it needs to be that drastic.
Yeah.
To where the first round games are March 4th and your 1 and 2 seeds don't play until March 9th. But
yeah, that's kind of a big draw.
That's a.
I don't like it.
I think you could probably do 4 games. I know the West.
Who's even in the Sun Belt now?
Well, there's South Alabama, James Madison, Troy, Arkansas State,
I'll
Marshall.
take James Madison.
James Madison?
I'm taking him out of there.
Okay.
Any school associated with Coach Sig, I'm in.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm
that's
in.
fair.
He's a winner. Google him.
Yeah.
He's a winner.
He is.
Big fan.
Looking at this, though, you got Arkansas State as the 4 seed, but they're the betting favorite in the tournament. So I don't necessarily understand why that is. They're plus 200 at the 4
Who's
seed.
the number 1 seed?
The number 1 seed, South Alabama, and they're betting at plus 280.
Where's James Madison at?
They're a 2 seed at plus 380.
That's your team. That's your team right there.
Well, I was looking at South Alabama, but we'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Just that huge edge. I mean, it's going to come down to South Alabama or James Madison, in my opinion, with how the bracket actually sets up. The Atlantic Sun.
Atlantic Sun.
This one's a little different. This tournament has already started. And I have not seen any score on today, which they probably are playing right now as we speak. But these games are hosted by the better seed. So yesterday's games were played at Lipscomb and North Alabama. And tonight's games are all on campus, and then they won't play again until the 6th, and then they play the 9th. So they get 2 or 3 day travel days in between there. I'm not a huge fan of that.
I like the tournament environment, just like the Moval. You're all at one place, and you've got all the students, and you've got all the fans that travel.
Yeah.
One location. It's a great environment.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I understand it's great for some teams to host, but they're hosting their conference team.
Well, and
they're hosting a conference team that already plays there. I mean, it's not like it's a.
It's also cheaper on the conference. They don't have to rent out a venue.
It is, but
But like we talked earlier.
What about the money generated from that?
Yeah.
From that conference
like we talked about earlier, though, going St. Louis to the Moval. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, and it's not just a good time with your own fans. It's a good time with the opposing fans as well.
It is.
I
don't know. I just don't like the cost thing. Okay, I get it, but let's face it, guys. NCAA basketball, they're making money.
Yeah,
I mean, you're making money.
Yeah.
You may not make as much as.
No, they're not going to make Big Ten, SEC money.
The Michigans, the Auburns, the Alabamas of the world, but they're still making.
Yeah, absolutely. Lipscomb's the betting favorite on this one at minus 165. Some have liked Florida Gulf Coast at plus 1,000.
Yeah.
If I'm taking a dark horse in this one, I'm taking Queens College. And you've probably never heard of Queens College.
I have. I've actually bet on them this year.
Okay. So there you go.
I have.
But Queens College has beaten every team in the conference. They are the 6th seed, and if they do win, they don't get the benefits of an NCAA tournament because that's their first year at D1.
Oh, they're all the old USI, the women's team last year. I got you. Who did you say the number 1 seed was?
Lipscomb.
That's who I'd take.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
they're by far, I think,
they're by
best
far
team
the
in
most
that
talented
conference.
team in that
Yeah.
conference. Wayne's College, though, I have bet on them before this year,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
they've been a favorite.
if I had to pick a dark horse, that's probably who I go with.
I mean, I agree. Look something up here. Is that Atlantic Sun Conference? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. As we speak right now, North Alabama is up 48-30 over Austin P. Right now, and then it looks like 8 o'clock is the Central Arkansas Lipson start. So, yeah, I actually have North Alabama in the money line tonight, so
yeah,
we're coming out on top. Any big games this week that you point of emphasis on, or what's the big game you want to watch this week?
I think the game of interest this week is probably tomorrow night, IU at Oregon.
I do too.
I think Duke, North Carolina has another game coming up this week sometime.
They do.
And that's always a fun rivalry game right at the end of the year.
Yeah, and it could be of utmost importance for North Carolina.
Yes.
On their conference or their tournament chances.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the IU Oregon game. And I'm also looking forward to the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, like we said earlier. I really think that Drake is the odds-on favorite that we spoke about, but it's always interesting to see those teams. That a lot of the national public haven't seen a lot of, and they kind of fall in love with them. So I think Drake could be one of those teams that they could really get behind. I tell you another team I'm a big fan of this year. I think that they've played well. Is Creighton.
Yes.
Creighton. McDermott does a great job. He does a great job year in, year out. We talk about they're talking about who's the next coach at IU. He'd be my guy.
I would throw as much money at him as it would take.
Well, I throw the bank at Bruce Pearl, but I don't know if we can get him from home.
I don't.
But I would throw the bank at Bruce Pearl, and then the next one would be McDermott.
Yeah.
I would go after him hard.
What's it gonna take?
I think he has the IU, written all over him. I do. I just really do. Let's talk about that coaching position a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, that job is not the job that it used to be.
No.
I mean, IU it's been a long time since they've been relevant. And I'm an IU fan, but I'm telling you right now, their program is not a top 20 program in the United States anymore.
No.
And it hasn't been for years.
No. Yeah.
And that coaching job is not where it used to be.
No.
So you're not gonna get the Dusty Mays, and although he has strong ties here, but I can't see him coming. I would not leave.
Not after 1 year.
No, not after 1 year.
He's already.
They messed up by not taking him last year.
Yeah.
Going ahead and replacing Woodson.
Yeah.
But and you're not gonna get the top names. I don't believe anymore.
No.
So whoever you get's either gonna have a little bit of baggage with him, or a guy that's gonna have to prove himself. A lower end school that what IU brings is NIL money.
Yep.
They bring a lot of money that they can throw on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I don't know how the dollar amounts in front of me, but I'm sure it's a lot more than what Creighton has.
Yeah.
So could that interest him to come over and take that position?
Yeah.
I mean, I think X's and O's, he's as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah.
But it'll be kind of interesting to see.
Is his son still a Pacer?
I don't know.
I'm not up on that. But
no, I'm not either.
I know he was last year, so
I mean, like I said,
maybe he's still a Pacer and he wants to be closer to go watch a couple games or something.
I could get on board with him. I don't know. Like I said, I would throw the bank at Bruce Pearl. I don't know if you'll ever drag him away from Auburn, but at one point in time, IU was his dream job. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how
coaching number one team in the country though.
It's hard.
That's a hard sell.
It would be. It would be. I just don't know. I mean, I don't think you get Patino to leave, and I know there's a lot of people that would roll over in their graves if Patino was coaching at IU.
If I remember from a long time ago, Patino's wife is not a fan of Bloomington.
Yeah,
and has no desire to be there. But
could be, and don't
that
get me
might
wrong.
have just been the Kentuckian or talking back then. But
he's building something really special at St. John's again, and you got that New York market with he's doing well there.
Yeah,
but I just don't know who would be next at IU. I mean,
well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Because this is my personal opinion. I don't think they've had a better coach since they got rid of Crean.
No, I agree. Crean, in my opinion, was the best coach they've had since Knight.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement. And Archie Miller's been awful.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been awful at Rhode Island.
He should have stayed at Dayton.
I'm not too sure if he even ran that program at Dayton because when he left, they seemed to get better.
Well,
too.
Yeah.
I mean, they. So I don't know how much he had.
He had success.
He had success there. He did.
You're right. It might have been an assistant coach
But Rhode Island, he's been awful.
Yeah.
IU, I think I read something the other day where he has never had, since he left, he's never had a winning record in the Big Ten or at Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes to show you he's not that good.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I think he set, like you said, IU's program back a little bit. Woodson, in my opinion, was not a good hire. And the reason why is nobody wanted him as a college coach.
Right.
And nobody wanted him as an NBA coach.
Yeah,
he sat out there for all these years.
Yeah.
As an assistant, great assistant coach.
Yeah.
Great guy, seems to be a great guy.
Yeah.
Great Hoosier. He was a good player.
Yeah.
I don't, have any ill will towards him.
Yeah.
Other than he's not a college basketball coach.
No.
And nobody wanted him. So
No.
I hear these names out there floating around. Okay. What happened to Dane Fife? Where's Dane Fife? If Dane Fife was that great, why isn't Dane Fife coaching somewhere?
He'd be somewhere.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's okay. So then again, are you going to hire Dane Fife who nobody wants? I mean, what's that doing to your program? I mean,
yeah.
Let's go, guys. We used to be IU. I mean, let's get back to we can take any coach we want. I mean, we're at the point where we can't. I mean, if we're looking for guys that's out of the job right now, and there's a reason why.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
So,
all right. Well,
we good?
I think we're good tonight.
All right.
Let's we'll come back next week and we're gonna have our Dream 14 Dream Big Ten.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Big Ten bracket. Go over that a little bit. Maybe even the SEC bracket.
That'll work.
Talk about those. Talk about some bigger tournaments next week, and we'll do it all again.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, that's it, folks, for the first episode of Bucky's Sports Show. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good week.